The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is dedicated to your mental wellness. We hope to educate and help you navigate your path to a good mental wellness environment. We will share information on various mental health topics as well as where to go for help. I'm Art Silva, and our show is brought to you by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, a United Way partner agency serving the Siouxland community. Today, we will provide you with an update on the new Ginny Peterson Behavioral Health Campus. Joining us today is Terry Dooley, Executive Vice President of Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, and special guest Steve Stouffer, retired Tyson exec. So, good morning. How you guys living?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to talk to you again.
Early in the day yet. You don't know what's going to happen, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, that's fine. Listen, well, let's get to know you better. Terry, give us a little bit on your background and what you do at Boys and Girls Home.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm a Sioux City native, so I've been a supporter of Boys and Girls Home since I was a little kid. I mean, we all knew Boys and Girls Home back in the day, and I've had the privilege of working at the agency for the last 30 years. So you know that I'm about like 40 years old right now, and it is an honor to be able to represent the children and the families that are coming to get help from Boys and Girls Home and Family Services all around kind of the mental health piece. And it just feels good every night when I lay my head on the pillow. I think I've helped to change a life, and I've had the blessing of working with wonderful people as board members and people out in the community that are willing to help us take care of these kids and families.
Well, that's a great segue into our guest today. And you talked about board members. Steve has done that for us. Steve has chaired our board. Steve has had the Volunteer of the Year award. Steve is a definite champion of children. So with that, let me introduce Mr. Steve Stouffer, retired exec at Tyson. And Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Art.
Well,
Good morning.
I retired, and I hope you're getting a lot of fishing in. So
Well, not yet.
Not yet?
Still working on it. I'm officially retired from my career, but I still got lots of other things going on, not the least of which is helping out the Boys and Girls Home. So it's been busy.
Well, let's start with why do you do that, Steve? A little background on you and what you do and how you got into Boys and Girls Home and why you do what you do.
Well, 40 seems to be a magic number because that's how long I was working at Tyson, and I actually am a transplant into this area from 42 years ago when I came in to work in this community. I grew up in Northern Illinois originally, and so getting over here and getting started working at IBP, then eventually Tyson, one of the things that I've learned over time is when you're involved in living in a community and raising your family in a community. So my wife is from the area. My kids still live in the area. And one of the things that I used to tell our team all the time is if there's things that you don't like about the community, it's not that you can sit around and just complain about it and do nothing. You got to pick up the stick and start working towards getting things done as far as building what needs to change. And so unless you get involved, unless you become a volunteer in something that will go out there and make a difference. And mental health is one that I got involved with originally through my church. And that's probably close to 30 years ago that I started getting involved with Boys and Girls Home. And it's been something that's near and dear to my heart. I see the benefits of it. It's tough in this space because you can't really take your clients and put them out in front of people and say, here's the good work that we're doing, because you just can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people that I've come across in my time here that I have found out have been involved with Boys and Girls Home one way or another, and I've seen them and improve their lives. I've seen them come out and be contributors themselves into the community. And quite frankly, you go back and look at the space today in mental health, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the front end so that we're not talking about building more prisons and jails and things like that, but solving the problem early on in the process.
Well, you touched on something real important, and that is it's tough to define this. Our clients are victims, and as we go through and get them back on their feet, we serve children from 6 to 18 years old, boys and girls. Right now, we have a capacity of about 30 children. As we grow at this new campus, we're going to add 12 more rooms. and we decided those 12 rooms are going to be dedicated to girls. We have a waiting list for girls. In the state, there are only so many beds allocated, PMIC beds, we're a psychiatric medical institute for children, so many beds allocated for girls. And here in Sioux City, we cover the majority of that. So it's a very good program. We get the girls up on their feet, out again with the coping skills. And Steve, you're a witness. You've seen these programs work.
Yes, indeed. It's been amazing to watch these kids, and when you get a chance to interact with these kids, there's always a stigma that kind of comes with mental health. It seems like we're trying to solve that. That's been part of the campaign that Boys and Girls Home's been on for a long, long time. Part of the reason this radio show is here is so that we can take that away, so that it now becomes a function of just taking care of people in general. It's no different than you cut your finger. You have to fix it, right?
You got to fix it.
That's exactly right.
I'm Matt Silva along with Terry Dooley and our guest today, Steve Stouffer, and we're updating everyone on the activity at the new Ginny Peterson Behavioral Health Campus. So why are we doing this? Terry, why are we doing this? Why move our kids out of Court Street? Why are we doing this?
Oh, my goodness. Well, the Court Street facility has served us well for enough years. I'll say that, enough years. But we having the chance to be able to come to a new site and to be able to develop what that is going to look like for the kids that are going to be living there, as well as the families that are going to be coming and visiting their children, the kids that will be coming to school. It's just really a blessing to be able to figure out how we can do it the right way this time. Not the old hospital didn't help us, because it was a good move in, but we're done with it. We're finding that the neighborhood is not exactly what we want for our kids right now in the old 2101 Court Street facility.
While you're on the neighborhood deal, let me just say this. We've had some issues in the neighborhood. The span has been unbelievable. Unfortunately, right down to an electrocution on trying to steal some copper. But this takes the cake. I just heard today that the U.S. Postal Service is really upset because on one of the streets that borders us, the dogs are biting the postmen. And they don't know how to deliver the mail. It's a tough neighborhood, folks. We got to move.
Well, and the good news is once we leave that site, it will probably get improved. So having us not in that building is going to be an improvement on the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We're going to work with the city to transfer some land over for their development, working with the developer to reuse that property. So it's all good. Steve, let me ask you from your perspective, why should we do this?
Well, I think Terry touched on it to start with. Number one, the facility that's there is well used, shall we say, but the new facility, I think, having toured it here in the last month or so, and it's still in progress of completion, but just the fact that you have a facility that now has all of the bells and whistles that you need to appropriately handle the kids, it gives you an indoor playing area, just as an example, something you don't have today over at the old hospital, right? You've got an ability to work with the kids on a one-on-one basis in a better situation. I think the kids having their own rooms that are newer with better equipment in it, so to speak, furniture and that type of thing. I think that, it shows the kids that you care, right? It shows the kids that they're worth it. And if there's anything that those kids need, it's some more self-esteem that says, hey, we care about you, we love you, and we want you to succeed, and here's an example of that.
We're very pleased with, because supporting their living quarters, we have activity rooms to keep them active. We also have quiet rooms. We'll also be putting in a garden, and that won't happen until next spring because of the season. But what's happening there is that's a nice serenity garden, we call it, where you can go out and have a little peace. This is putting a puzzle back together. Terry, you have a statistic over there that in Woodbury County, there were how many cases of child abuse in 2022?
Oh, gosh, it's frightening. 1,589 reports of child abuse.
You hear that? 1,589 cases of child abuse right here in our backyard. And unfortunately, 80% of children who die from child abuse are under the age of 4. I want to reiterate, folks, our kids are victims. This is not a conduct disorder environment. We help these kids get back on their feet, and the spectrum of how they've been damaged is just amazing. But I want to give a hats off to our staff. They've done a wonderful job. The support of our boards, they believe in what we're doing. So this is a case where everybody's buying in, and this new project is just going to culminate a lot of effort, a lot of work, and we're going to tell you about somebody really special that this project is dedicated to. So with that, we're coming up on our break. We'll be right back after your morning chill. Don't change that dial. Stay right here on 1360 AM, 90.9 FM, KSCJ.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva along with Terry Dooley and Steve Stouffer, and we're updating everyone on the progress of the Ginny Peterson Behavioral Health Campus. But before we go any further, Terry, would you tell us about Ginny Peterson?
Oh, gosh. Can we have like 15 shows in a row here to be able to do that? Because Ginny Peterson, most of you probably remember who she was, a woman who dedicated her life to sitting on boards and helping nonprofit organizations across the area to be able to do the best work that they could do. Ginny fell in love with Boys and Girls Home, especially the children. She was on our board for, 40 years or so. I mean, it was a lovely thing that we had the chance to be able to have her be a mentor to me, in addition to being a friend of children the entire time that she sat on the board at the agency. Ginny would walk into a room full of kids. She'd like to come and see our kids at school oftentimes. And I remember one time in particular where she turned around and she looked at me, and she was looking at a little girl, a little 6-year-old that we had with us. And she looked at me and mouthed, "I'm going to cry." And I said, "It's okay to cry." That's how Ginny felt about our children, and she dedicated herself. It's why we've got her name, Ginny Peterson Behavioral Health Campus, on this campus. We'll never forget the touch that she gave us.
Well, we're going to live this legacy on. And Steve, you work with Ginny from a board perspective. Any comments on Ginny?
Yeah, I was going to say, even though she was this little bitty, and sometimes people would put Braille on top of that, she wasn't. She was a mama bear when it came to these kids and came to this organization. And I tell you what, you talk about somebody that knows the need for community involvement, and she was not shy, and she was not afraid of getting in people's grill and saying, "Hey, we got to go fix this. We got to go do this." And she was a fire plug. There's no question about that.
One thing about our organization, we brought people together. People kind of came together that had that same passion, and that passion for kids who needed help. And she's been very inspirational to us through this whole campaign. So with that, let's talk about the campus and what we're doing and how folks can help us out there. We're looking at an occupancy in Q3 of this year, September-October timeframe. So we're going to overlap. We've been moving our children out of the Court Street facility. There's a lot involved here behind the scenes other than just the construction. There's licensing and the things you have to do as you change location. So we're in the process of doing that. We're very excited about it. We're looking at savings in utilities. We have put in geothermal. Geothermal heating and cooling is just going to be unbelievable savings, because utilities was a major cost over at Boys and Girls Home. For an example, we have to rent a chiller for over $18,000 a month just to keep the place cool, and it's our only option as opposed to going in and redoing the whole thing. So it's time to move. We're looking forward to the new facility. It'll be very climate friendly. We're in the process now. If you drive by it, you'll see them tearing up the asphalt. We're taking up 2 acres of asphalt. That shouldn't let you get in the way of coming to stuff, though. It's still open. But we're taking up 2 acres of asphalt. We're going to lay down seed in September. And we're making berms in there. So you're going to see a big change to this area, all for the better, and get our children in there. So, Terry, you want to add anything to that in regards to some of the things people can do to help us?
Oh, boy. Well, we're actively pursuing a $5 million campaign right now to be able to finish this project up. And I'm happy to say that we've got great support, particularly strong support from our board and people that have been with us for a very long time. So we're also available to give tours in our new facility, and we're doing those every other Friday. If people wanted to get in touch with me or with my coworker, Marnie, the number to call would be 293-4700 and ask for the development department, and we would be happy to get you set up with a tour. I've been doing some tours. Art, you have too, so you know. People walk into this building in progress, and their mouths just drop open. We have had unbelievable responses from people coming in saying, "Gosh, this looks different than where the kids are living now." And The kids deserve to live in a place that is more home-like. They've been through enough trauma in their life right now, and what we want to do is to be able to give them a serene place where they can go but still be kids, and that's exactly what this new facility does. I'm excited about a new art room that we have that is being supported by the Gilchrist Foundation here in town and a lot of other donors that have given to that. Our kids are going to have the opportunity to be able to express the things that have happened in their life through a lot of different ways, not just working with a mental health therapist, but also being able to do artwork and be actively involved in ways that they can show us the things that have happened to them. I'm looking at one of my stat cards here. When you look at 1 in 5 Americans suffering from mental health issues, that's big. 1/3 of students with mental health conditions drop out of high school. How do you go on when you've dropped out of high school? We're an organization that's helping to support keeping those kids moving forward.
One thing you mentioned there, the violence has become a real factor with children of this age. It never was tracked before, but now violence is being tracked. They're afraid to go to the movies, go to concerts, and school. So this has happened, and we're watching this, and we're trying to manage this. And one number that stands out more than anything else is a number from the Iowa Youth Survey, where they surveyed 11th grade children with the fact that it wouldn't be shared with their parents. But it came out 1 out of 4 11th grade kids considered suicide, had a suicide ideation. This is dangerous. This is our investment for our future. We need to block. We need to let these children thrive, not just get by, but thrive. So, Steve, you see things. You ran a major corporation. You had a lot of people to deal with. And so did you have any mental health experience over at Tyson?
Definitely. Excuse me. You can't have 38,000 people in your group and not have to deal with that. And quite frankly, everybody talks about a lot of other components of health, but when it comes down to mental health, it's kind of like a spiritual thing, right? And one of the advantages, and one of the biggest advantages I saw coming out of Tyson was the fact that we had a chaplaincy program at Tyson, both in the corporate office as well as in all of our plants. And one of the things that I came to realize over time is that people have all kinds of stressors in their lives, right? There's all kinds of anxiety. There's all kinds of things that people face. And what the chaplains actually gave was a place that they could go and feel safe to have conversations about what's going on in their life. And then the chaplains were trained and able to, and they are the kind of personality that they're out there trying to help these individuals cope with those things by getting them in contact with the right individuals that can help them with the situations that they're dealing with. And quite frankly, I will tell you, we saw some really significant things, when we would lose a team member through death, or we actually even have had situations where people try to commit suicide in front of everybody. I mean, that's actually happened. We brought chaplains in to help the people that actually witnessed that, because that's obviously
for sure,
a crazy thing that people had to experience, and we had to help them with that, as well as the individual that the one in particular that survived the process, and we had to help them work through their issues as well. So mental health is huge, and quite frankly, those of you that are listening to this radio show, that if you have a business where you've got a number of employees and you're not focusing on this piece of it, you're missing the boat.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yeah, when you have a team of people out there that have and know that they have the ability to have their mental health monitored just as much as their physical health, I think you've got a much more robust and a much more efficient, much more effective team working for you.
We're here today, and to wrap things up as we move to the end of our show, we need your help. We're making an appeal for funds. As Terry mentioned earlier, we're on a $5 million campaign, and we're about 60% there. So if you can help, Terry, how can they help, and where would they send their donations or get more information?
Could get more information at our website, which is boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. And
boysandgirlshomeiowa.org.
Yep, okay. And they can just click on a button there and make a donation if they would like to. Steve, you bring up an interesting point. I am available to go to churches or businesses to talk about the great work that is happening at Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Again, 293-4700. Ask for Terry or Marnie in the development department. We're happy to help you.
Hey, Steve, you want to give a shout out to all your friends and tell them they could help if they want? Just get hold of us.
Come on board, man. It's a lot of fun, I'll tell you. But I would also tag on with Terry. I mean, if somebody wants to talk to me more about what I just mentioned in the business front, reach out to Terry. She knows how to get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to anybody along these lines about how do you make a difference. And it's not just work. It's in your neighborhoods. It's in your schools. There's lots of places that mental health plays a very important part, and we have to be proactive, not reactive to it. And this is all part of it.
Well, spoken like a true believer and a true champion. And Steve, you've been great. Appreciate that. Terry, you continue to do the job that you do. So we're coming up on the end of our show, and each week we provide a little humor for your mental wellness. Here's a joke for the week. Someone came to the door and was asking for money. He was fundraising for a new pool in town. Dad, there's a man at the door collecting for a new pool in town. Dad said, give him a glass of water. Okay, we need a little more help than water, folks. So you can send us, go into the wallet and pick up those little green pieces of paper that's in there. Soupy Sales did this and got in trouble, and send them in to us. Anyhow, we're glad to have you. I want to give a thank to Terry, Steve, also our listening audience. A shout out, J.D. Schulten, outstanding job for the X's, but he was also instrumental in mental health reform in Iowa legislature. He's a winner in both leagues, J.D. Schulten. Don't forget to visit the new and improved Stuff Critique. New stuff arising daily. Come back in and check us out. Calling all teachers. Boys and Girls Home and Family Service is hiring teachers for the upcoming school year. Smaller class sizes and 8 in every room. So please give us a call. Give our HR manager a call at 293-4700. When things aren't going well, we'll be back next Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM KSCJ. Don't forget to do your homework this week and go out and have a good laugh. May the sun shine on you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
For more information on the services provided by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, see them online at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. Or you can call 712-293-4700 to get more information about family services, residential treatment, the Opportunity School, the Siouxland Family Center, and more. At Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, we change lives.